And welcome everybody to another episode of Mac Yak. Before we get started, I want to make sure everybody's audio is working because we're using some new software tonight. So
Testing.
we want to. So make sure everybody can hear.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
So can everybody hear everybody?
Hi
Testing.
everybody.
I don't know.
Well, I didn't hear you there. Yeah, Mike, your mic now. Mike's mic went south.
Great. We got Madeline's approval. Michael says we can hear it.
All right. Hey, it's working.
Straight out of the gates, man. This is going to be a good one.
Yes. All right, guys. So, yes, we did switch from OBS back to Wirecast. When we originally started this show, we actually were using Wirecast with, group FaceTime. And it worked out pretty good until we switched to Skype. Skype did not want to play nice with Wirecast at the time. However, in the year that we haven't used it, Wirecast has actually matured and actually has NDI sources. So now we can actually do Skype along with Wirecast. So that actually
until it breaks again.
Until it breaks again. Exactly right.
And we'll
until either Skype changes something or Wirecast changes something. You know, it's always one or the other. Or YouTube. Yes. That is true.
Or GT decides to install a software update 5 minutes before showtime.
Which I would never do. I never would do that. In fact, I wait till after the show. Also, just to let you guys know, last week we went over 1,000 subs, and we also had over 4,000 view hours. So guess what? We are now fully monetized. So if you guys see that little $sign down there, we actually can accept super chats now. So,
and by the way, thank you, Madeline.
Yes, thank you, Madeline, very much for the 20 Australian dollar super chat.
I'm not going to thank Mike because he just paid himself.
What about me? I paid myself.
Greg's the one who paid himself.
Well, you're kind of paying yourself. Everybody gets a cut.
Paying yourself minus YouTube's fee. Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah, and just so we can make the
I paid
most
YouTube.
amount of money in the shortest possible time. There's going to be ads interrupting the show every 10 minutes.
No, actually, the ads. I don't think the ads will be there until it goes to.
Fine.
Well, I don't think the ads are going to be there until we actually goes offline. Yeah, it's on the playback.
Yeah, and
Jay's just being silly.
We will try not to make it, annoyingly frequent.
Yeah, I think the ads also. I'm not sure if they pop up at the beginning or not.
It's all you can control it.
If someone was to start watching the stream now, they would probably be greeted with an ad, and then they obviously skip it and then watch it, and then they won't see another one.
Okay.
So what that means is, be here on time, be here early, and there's no ad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reward.
Sean saw an ad. It was probably about RGB lights or something.
No, it's probably some political ad. That's all I ever been getting lately. So
we got some underpants ads. Remember, I shared that with you guys.
That is true. Yeah, you did show that one. Yeah.
We must be doing good if we're attracting underwear ads. So how about that?
Exactly.
Oh yeah. That's how you know you made it.
Yeah.
Directed exactly towards our type. Yeah.
So, how's everybody been doing this week?
Doing good. I cleaned my office.
Wow.
I cleaned my office. That desk, clear. This desk, clear.
I think he's using a static background.
Can't see it. Floor
I wish I could say the same for mine. My office
and then
is still...
today, USPS, FedEx, UPS, and DHL showed up at the same time, and it all went to crap.
That's your excuse.
Yeah.
Well, and you dragged out another Xserve to start working on too. So
that's Steve's fault.
Sorry, Jay.
Yeah, it is Steve's fault.
I cleaned a 6 square inch section there. Just there.
You can't point the camera there, though.
No. It's now my favorite spot.
Oh. Steve, I just wanted to say something. I guess the YouTube studio is still messed up because I'm showing 0 concurrent viewers on the bottom, but it says 20 up top. So I'm assuming that
it's been screwed up.
It's been a bit funny.
Let's go with 0. That way we can't be disappointed.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I did a live stream the other day and fixed 2 of these Classic 2 boards. So that was a very rare double success on my show. That doesn't happen often, as everybody knows. That was what I was up to.
What else has everybody been doing besides Jay and...
I've been playing with SCSI 2SDs.
Is that one of your new ones you built?
Yeah. Doesn't work, but I built it.
What do you mean it doesn't work?
That's why he's like flipping it around. He's like,
What do you mean it doesn't work?
It will work, though. It will work. So, yeah. It will be fun.
What about you, Dana?
Yep.
How about you, Dana?
I've been finally getting rid of a bunch of trash to take up to my folks' burn pile because it's been raining for like a solid week and now it's finally dry. So that's been my week so far.
Oh, okay.
Just getting rid of stuff that I haven't been able to throw out yet.
Yep. All right. So, how about you, Mike? You got the last word here. What's going on? What's going on with you? And his mic is messed up.
Can't hear you.
We don't hear you.
Nope. We can't hear you, Mike.
You're very, very low.
Quiet.
Yeah, you're very quiet.
He's gonna fix it. 1 second.
Nope, it's still.
Do you have any semaphore flags there, Mike?
Sign language, smoke signals.
I think he said
Don't
he's
ask
playing.
Mike to use sign language.
Okay. So, all right. So, we're going to go ahead and go to our first topic. And I know our first topic is listed in the thing, but we're actually going to go to topic 3 first. So, yeah, Mike's fine. So, a little bit. You're still low. Still low.
It's not me. It's you.
Nope, there you go. You're in and out.
Now.
Heard that before.
If you checked your cable,
Check this Skype sensitivity settings, Mike. Oh.
Yeah, it's all of us are hearing you the same though,
it
Mike.
was
So
fine 2 minutes ago. I
yeah.
don't get it.
You touched something.
Mike,
And he's gonna come back here in a second. Yeah, exactly. That will be later on down the road. I don't have time to do that, but no.
Yeah. We'll wait.
All right, Mike. Let's see if we got Mike back.
Does Mike have Mike?
I don't know. Do I have a mic?
Yes, you
a little
do.
bit better. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what it was. I just restarted Skype.
Yeah, whatever it was, it's fixed it.
You turned it off and on again.
I blame Lydia because she's laying on my desk.
Well,
no, I'm still messing with you.
It's going in and out.
Goes up and down and up and down.
Whatever. Just yell real loud and we'll hear it.
Yeah.
Oh!
There we go. We heard that. Yeep. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and we're going to go to topic number 3 right off the bat. So because we decided that you were just gone.
I don't know what topic number 3 is.
If you have the notes, you do. All right, so we got a new Apple event coming up next week, guys.
Oh.
So we're going to talk about what we're predicting. And to be honest with you, I think the biggest thing that's going to come out is one of the new MacBooks with the new ARM processor.
Yeah.
It's going to be I'm willing to bet it's probably going to be a MacBook Air to start off with. So,
is that the one that hasn't been updated in a while?
It has not been updated in a while, I don't think. I knew the MacBook Pro got updated.
I think there's a 2019 Air.
Yeah, but there isn't a 2020. So that's my prediction. That's going to be the test bed for it, because if you think about it, what are they using, the A14 processor in it, or 14X or something like that? I can't remember.
Z.
I don't know.
Or Z, yeah, whatever they're using in it.
Even though they came out with a new Air in March, April this year, that's not going to stop them from updating it again.
Oh, yeah,
Exactly.
Stopped them before.
But I think it's going to be their test case because it's their lowest end Mac that they sell. I mean, the cheapest one that they sell, and it's already pretty much so thin and everything else that ARM architecture is going to work perfect in it. I mean, that's
actually a pretty good platform for them to put it in, though.
Yeah, exactly. I agree, and I think that's going to be their first test.
I don't know. The cheapest is the Mac Mini, still.
Yeah, desktop.
I think they'll do multiple. I mean, a few of the outlets are saying multiple laptops, but I don't know if the Mini is going to be the first one, but I think they're going to do the Air, and the Mini won't be too far off. Because I don't think they're going to do an iMac right away.
Aren't they using the Mini for the development?
Well, exactly. Yeah. So you feel like that's probably the quickest one to bring to market if they've already made one for the developers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, with this, if we are talking about an Apple Silicon hardware release, it has to be the official release of Big Sur, doesn't it? Because Big Sur is still only in beta, isn't it?
Well,
I think they just released a GM
the Gold Master.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was going to say, Bruce. I was going to say, well, they're going to announce it, but they're not going to ship anything soon. But Apple's been a little fast and loose with their OS releases recently, so it wouldn't surprise me. They're like, it's done, and then push it out.
Yeah, exactly. But I think Big Sur is going to come out next week. I think they're going to actually release it next week because I think they learned their lesson with iOS and doing the 24-hour,
No, Apple doesn't learn lessons. They make courage.
Oh, okay. It's courage, right? But
like Brock said, I heard that a few months ago too that the 12-inch MacBook is coming back.
I hope not.
You might actually see me cry if they bring that piece of
They
crap.
must have so many leftover shells from that they have not used. They're like, we got these 20,000 bodies sitting around. I guess we could use these.
Well, they won't be able to use that same keyboard because they changed the keyboard with the 2020 MacBook Pro. So
this will be a low-end model. They don't care about their customers that much.
That's true, yeah. But like
this will be the MacBook LC.
And you know what's funny is you think about this. You got an iPad that uses the A14, doesn't have fans or anything in it. Just think. You could probably make that MacBook without a fan. It might actually work for a change.
Oh, don't tempt them. Don't tempt them. It's going to be like that MacBook is going to be like an iMac G3 in 20 years. It's going to be like you're going to open it up. You're going to see all these charred marks from it not being able to breathe.
Somebody goes. So Macintosh Librarian goes MacBook Classic with beige plastic.
Good old Spindler.
Might have a better chance of selling it that way.
Yeah.
I would get one just for the hell of it. That'd be fun.
Well, to be honest with you, I think that we're going to see a lot of reviewers get it right off the bat, and they're going to be like, "Oh, this is a piece of crap." And
those videos are already done. You know
I know. They probably already got it done.
Hit upload.
Yeah, because they already got.
You got Linus and iJustine. They're sitting there with a 25-core ARM, whatever the hell model, and they've been playing with it for a month, and they're just waiting to click upload.
Yeah,
I think those machines are actually going to be pretty powerful, and I'm very excited to see the benchmarks on them.
Yeah. Yes, I'm the same. I just want to see benchmarks. That's all I want.
Yeah, I can't afford the damn thing. I'm not going to buy the damn thing, but I want to look at the benchmarks because I'm a geek. So there you go.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, I think you're right though. I think we need to see what the actual benchmarks are going to be against the Intel stuff because we saw a little bit about it at the the preview of the ARM, but I don't think they did any benchmarks. So it's like, what is it going to go against an Intel chip?
Well, they played with a Word document.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and they played
it. Render text.
Well, they played it.
Apple II.
But they played a game also, and it was actually stuttering. So that to me doesn't give me a lot. It doesn't give me a lot of confidence in the ARM technology right now.
Now, do we expect? I mean, obviously we know the ARM chips are coming. Do we expect the ARM chips to have T2 built in going forward? Or is it still going to be a separate chip?
That's a good question. I don't know, but I think if they're going to process or make their own chips, I would think they would put the T2 built into it. They would probably bake it into the chip.
Yeah, I think that's interesting if the CPU dies and all your data is encrypted by that CPU. And
Bye
it's going to get messy.
But I mean, if you look at what Brock said with the MX-14 system on a chip, so you basically going to have everything on that one chip, because that's almost like the Apple Watch, has that one chip in it. That's pretty much it, and everything goes through that.
Does the iPhone have a T2 chip?
No, it has a secure enclave.
Yeah, then they're probably going to do something similar to that. There might be a secondary chip, just because in the scenario Jay mentions, maybe that's something they'll need to do. But who cares? They might not care.
But see, Apple's not going to want to replace the CPU. They're going to want to sell you the whole new board.
Well, they're going to have to offer, like they did with the 12-inch MacBook, some type of service port for like data recovery or whatever, because that's what they did.
And they took that port off. So what makes you think they're going to do that?
I'm saying there should be at least a method. I'm saying should. This is Apple we're talking about.
Yeah, I was going to say should and what Apple does are two different things.
That's why I don't buy anything that's not 20 years old.
That is true.
What sort of upgradability do you think these new Macs are going to have?
Goose egg.
0.
Exactly.
Oh no, you could put a sticker on it. That's an upgrade.
I would love for them to shock us all, but yeah, I think we're all in agreement.
Here's a modular power book with bays and everything. Yeah. Please, how thick those old power books are. You could shove like 20 ARM processors in there. It'd be amazing.
Yeah.
You'd have the power of like 5 Mac Pros in a thick ass power book. That'd be amazing.
Yep.
Would.
But they're not going to do that. I mean, it's
a power book.
Now it does show the Skype logo when somebody does go off video, so that's another thing. But all right. So say Just Mark said I don't see any Apple making their chips socketed, so they would. Yeah, they stopped socketed stuff long time ago. That's been gone. Yeah. In fact, the memory is even soldered in, and now in the Mac Mini, I think the SSD was soldered on, right?
Yeah. But at least the memory wasn't.
The new iMacs that came out this year have soldered on memory, so you can't even upgrade those new iMacs that they sold in 2020.
I'll stick with my Pro.
Yeah. I mean, it's the funny thing was about that is that they kept the same form factor. In fact, they used the same shells as the old iMac, but because if you look at, there's still space enough there for a hard drive, but the memory and the hard drive is all soldered to the board now. It's not even like an M.2, M-SATA or anything you could put in there.
On the iMac, I haven't kept up with it in a while, but on the 21-inch it's soldered on. 27-inch has always been upgradable.
Nope. The 27-inch, the 2020s, everything is soldered on now. They got rid of the spinner hard drive completely, and
that's about time.
But the SSDs are soldered onto the board.
You're getting sort of chat disagreeing with you there, GT.
It's upgradable by the user, and it's upgradable if you tell Apple what you want.
Yeah, it says the iMac. It says you could upgrade the iMac on 9 to 5 Mac.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So,
see, I ain't that out of the loop.
I take that out.
5K 2020 edition iMac. So you're full of it.
Okay.
You're fired.
I'm fired.
DDR4.
All right, guess I'm going to stop the stream then.
66 megahertz memory. Yeah, there's a door on the back.
This is something that gets mentioned a lot of the time when people are talking, about Apple in chats and stuff like that. And of course, they have this very, very green exterior. Let's say, they're talking about the fact that they're going to be able to run the company with 0 emissions and all this sort of stuff. and yet they are producing computers that are going to become landfill, because once they have got past a certain point, they aren't upgradable, they aren't repairable, and they're just going to get thrown away, e-wasted. And okay, some parts of them are going to be recycled, but we all know that in any form of recycling, you lose a huge amount of stuff and energy and all that sort of stuff. It just makes so much more sense to be able to make these things last longer. It's so much more green that Apple, have just got this sort of disposable stance. So it's just all it's nonsense when they go around and say that talk about how green they are.
Yeah.
Why you got to bring that up and trigger me, man?
Jay has said that the whole time because we've talked about how green Apple is and stuff, and they talk about all their stores being 100% green. We're like, well, wait a second, they're in a mall. Where are they getting their power from? The mall, or they got some external solar panels?
Is it the guy in the back with a bicycle and a generator?
Okay.
Oh, that makes sense.
Those are the new employees. You gotta work them hard.
Yeah, all those new employees that got
You
riding
gotta
bikes.
earn your health care around here, Apple employee. Get on that bike.
They got to fill those activity rings up.
That's the exercise incentive program when you join Apple retail. There's a bike in the back.
Yeah. So
exercise program here.
Oh, you didn't make your Apple Care quota. I want you to fill 2 rings on your watch. Go.
Yeah. All right. So anything else we think that's going to come out during this event
just
next
hardware
week?
and OS.
Apple Finder things, the little tags.
Oh, the AirTags.
Maybe.
You reckon they're ever going to surface?
I think that's going to be vaporware, just like the.
I think about the same time as that Maxi Pad to charge all your devices.
Yeah.
I think that's going to come out.
Air power.
Are you sure that's what they're called?
I think the AirTags. I think the AirTags will come out. I just don't know when, but I don't think they've given up hope on that.
I don't know. They got to compete with those that won the tiles.
Yeah, but that's not. I don't think Apple sees them as a threat because one, Apple has never released anything until they're 1,000% satisfied with this stupid thing, and so I could completely see them being like being like a perfectionist about it and like, we'll wait 6 months and release it.
Let's talk about the iPhone 4. I think that one was not ready for prime time.
I said until Apple is happy with it. I didn't say it's perfect.
But it looked nice.
It looked pretty. That's all they care about. See?
Yeah, they didn't care.
They're saying new Apple TV.
I would love a new Apple TV.
What has to be new about Apple TV that doesn't already do?
They've already got 4K. Is it 8K now?
8K?
No, but they could add in some more built-in storage. And the thing is, the processor in there, it's fine for what there is now, but every once in a while I know it's a slower processor, but the 1080p version I have gets a little choppy once in a while I'm playing a game or whatever. So I'm sure they could do a refresh. That hardware is like 2 years old, and I know the second I go buy a new one, they're going to come out with a new one. So I'm just waiting.
Well, what do you need more storage for? I thought they were going to come out with ways to store stuff on there. So back then I got the 64 gig, and okay, I'm ready for whatever they're going to release. And I think I've used nothing. You can't store anything.
I'm in the same boat with you, Jay, but they did change some of the requirements because before you used to have to have your app at a certain size, and then they said you have to stream everything else. And I believe they changed some of those requirements because games allow you to download content now that could take up some gigabytes of space on there.
Yeah,
so
I see.
I'm not saying it's going to take up all 32 gigs. I'm not saying Apple's going to be generous and give you more space. I'm just saying the hardware's been out there for 2 years. I'm sure they could think of something to do with it.
Infrared, I think it needs.
Yeah, give it some lasers.
Yeah.
put laser beams on a shark. There we go.
Pew, pew.
Infrared, like this.
Yes.
Yeah. All-seeing eye.
Good old line of sight stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I remember those days. Yeah, I had the little Windows CE device that had the infrared transfer thing, which was slow.
Oh, of course, IRDA ain't fast, yo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I bought that PowerBook 3400 and it had the IR port on it, and they were like, "Oh, you can, wirelessly transmit information back and forth." And I tried it one time, and it was slower than Apple Talk. And I said, "Screw that! Why is that even there?"
I love. I think it's one of the Mac worlds where Steve Jobs is releasing the iMac for the first time, and he's like, "It has an IR port, so you can beam your digital photos to it." And I'm like,
"Yeah, no, no."
I want to find a digital camera that has a freaking IR port on it and just see how painstakingly slow it is, and I'll do a video on that. But I got to find one first.
They're terrible. It's terrible.
Now, apart from the hardware and Mac OS, do we think that they're going to have the nerve to pull the same stunt as with the iPhones? Like, everybody has so many MagSafe chargers. We're not going to supply them with the computer anymore.
I don't think they're there yet. They will do it, just not yet.
Are you talking about like putting a power cord in with the computer?
Yeah.
Who knows? But I've been seeing those boxes. The boxes are like really thin now because they're not providing the charger or the cord or headphones with it even anymore. So basically, you're getting just the phone. That's it.
Yep. You
I was
pay for
actually
the
in
packaging.
I was in a electronics store just the other day, and I was just overhearing a conversation with a customer and a staff member there, saying, and her saying, "Does this have a charger in it?" And he said, "Yeah. They're not Apple." And she was actually someone who had been using iPhones and was changing over to Android because of the charger type situation. So she's in for a learning curve.
Well, good on her. I mean, this
But-
whole thing is just Apple giving you a giant FU, and people are still buying it.
Oh yeah. Well,
Good on her.
To be honest with you, though, I mean, I have about 20 bazillion of those little power bricks laying around. I mean, I have
But not
like
20-watt ones.
Huh? No, I have about like 20 bazillion of those too.
You have 20 bazillion 20-watt USB chargers?
Huh? Of the
Not
big
the
ones?
5-watt one?
No, the bigger ones, the ones that come with the iPads and stuff.
Well, give me one.
Yeah, I'll give you
That's
some.
not the point. That's not the point. You go to a fancy restaurant.
I
You
agree.
expect there to be 6 forks, of which you don't know what to use the other 5 for.
One
But
is for
they're
scratching
there
your butt.
anyway, because you pay for it.
But here's the thing though, is Apple, remember, they're talking about their green initiative and
They're
that's
not green.
No, they're not. And we know that. We've
Well,
said
the first top of their old logo was green, but that's about it.
that.
I mean, the thing is that when you are selling millions of these things, tiny savings can become huge savings.
Yeah.
Say,
So,
yeah.
you know, I mean, when they do the numbers on something like this,
It's green in their pocketbook.
Yeah. This is true.
Oh, great. Now I'm
Getting
looking at
triggered
infrared
again.
digital. I'm looking at infrared digital cameras on eBay. Thanks, guys.
Uh-oh.
Stop it.
Stop it. You're going to buy
Put the
everything.
eBay down.
Put the cookie down.
At least he's not looking for printers.
No.
Well, that is probably a good thing.
Now, that I wouldn't mind. If Apple announces
a
a new
dot matrix
printer.
printer.
Yeah,
Laser Rider. Laser
a
Rider.
new printer.
Well, you know that's not going to happen.
Give me some
No.
cool. Give me a
They were only-
throwback.
They were only ever rebadging other people's printers anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what's the
I
problem?
think the closest they got to that recently, I think there was some, what was it, Samsung or Epson had some, like, only available at the Apple Store, like, printers, like, a few years ago, and that quietly died out.
Yeah. Apart from that, the only thing I expect is more fancy animations of flying between buildings and
Yeah.
That's the only reason I watched the keynotes.
yeah.
And then
I mean,
and then
certainly not watching for Tim Cook's presentation skills. So
Well,
and then I
what-
expect a live stream from Ken with Steve as a guest, explaining everything to me because the actual keynote's on in the middle of the night for me.
Well, we'll
Yep.
see if that happens. So,
well, that's another good thing too, Steve. So you're going to be on Steve's
well,
Ken's-
that's why I said I don't know if that's going to happen. It's sort of up in the air right now. It may still happen, but I'll have to wait a little closer to the event.
Come on, it'll happen.
I'm not making the calls here. I'm ready. If not, I'll do my own show where I print out stuff on my printer while I loosely talk about the subject and stream for 8 hours. So.
Bruce, Madeline just did your job for you.
Yeah, she did,
Oh,
didn't she? I saw
just
that,
like-
yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Smash that like button.
Pat it gently. Just get a little like there. There you
Yeah.
go.
Give it a
Jerk
little like. We like
Just
it
give it a
smashed.
Little love tap.
Speaking of smash, Bruce, did you get smashed last week drinking all that wine you showed us?
I paced fairly well. I mean, we were starting very early. We went to a particular event that started at. We rocked up at the place. I think it was about 11:30, something like that. And I mean, as soon as we walked in the door, they just handed us glasses of wine. So when someone's handing you a glass of
They
wine before
forced it on
lunch,
Yeah, glasses
force
and
it.
glasses and glasses.
yeah,
From that photo we
Please
saw.
leave,
Yeah.
sir. Here you go.
Let's not be modest about it. You were there for 10 minutes and you started texting me in French. I'm like, Bruce, I didn't even know you spoke French. He's like, neither did I. You were hammered.
Oh, it was nice though, I can tell you.
See? All right, guys. So we beat this one in, or are we ready to go to the next topic here?
I'm ready to move on.
All right. So let me get where we're at here.
So now we're doing number 2 or number 1?
We are doing
It's all
number
up in the
2.
air right now.
It's all number 2.
We swapped 1 and 3.
They should turn the air vent on.
Actually, guess what? You didn't make a overlay for this one.
Which one?
Number 3. Or number 2, rather.
No, I didn't. Which is weird because it's right there in front of me. So we can do number 1, and I'll quickly whip one up, and we pretend it never happened. How's that?
All right, we'll do number 1 then.
Sweet.
Because I'm sitting there like, I'm trying to find it. I'm like, wait a second. I knew I copied everything over, and I'm like, there's no number.
Keep you on your toes, man.
All right, so we're going to talk about some iPhone photography tips. We've all had iPhones since about, I think my personal experience, I've had it since the iPhone 3G, which had probably the worst camera ever, to right now.
2007 iPhone.
Yeah,
That's
now,
the worst camera ever. Trust me, I know.
And I have the iPhone XS Max right now, which I will be upgrading to the 12 Pro here soon as Sprint gets off their butt and sends me the new one. So we'll have to see about that. But anyways, the cameras have been getting better and better and better. I have not had an issue with my XS Max at all, but we want to talk about some iPhone photography tips, but I'm going to let you guys talk a little bit more about it because I don't do a lot of photography, but I do use an app, and I'll talk about it in a little bit that I like about it.
Does anyone mind if I get rolling?
Go.
Go
No,
for it.
Go.
Next hour is all you, Bruce.
So now I'll preface this by saying that I have an iPhone 7. So I am going to be talking about tips more related to photography in general and some of the features within the iPhone. But I don't, for instance, use things like the portrait mode and stuff like that because my phone is too old for that. So I sort of want to more talk about ways that you can sort of improve the photos you're getting from the phone using more sort of general photography tips and a couple of little hidden features in the phone that some people may not know about. So the first one, and it is the most important one, and it is the biggest bugbear for me, it drives me absolutely bananas, is when people are posting photos that are all smeary. They look like they've been shot through Vaseline, and it's because this little lens here is grubby. It's dirty. Now, I've seen, I quite literally had a situation where someone sent their phone to me and said, no, it's not the lens, it's something else. Can you open it up and have a look for me? Yeah, no worries. Okay, so I take it out of the case, I have a look at it, and it was the lens. I mean, it was just the lens. I mean, it was the outside of the lens. So I think sometimes people might be worried about, I need a lens cleaner, or, I need to get the right lens cleaning fluid, or I need some sort of fancy wipey thing. I can tell you now that I've been cleaning this phone, this lens, the same way since I got this iPhone 7. I've now had this since the iPhone 7 came out, and it hasn't had any negative effect. I grab the corner of my shirt and I give it a little bit of a rub, and then away we go. And this really came home when just as Steve was doing that, this really came home to me on last weekend when I was on holidays, and I was looking at someone one of my friends taking a photo, sort of he was getting a photo taken of them, and he just picked the thing up, put it on portrait mode. He was about to go take a photo, and I looked over at the lens and I just saw this smeary, clouded mess all over the screen. And I said, "Give it here!" And I just grabbed it, wiped it straight up there, and then the photo is then looking beautiful and clear. And it is such an easy thing to do, and if you are taking a photo with a dirty lens, there's nothing you can do about it afterwards. So that is photography tip number 1 for everyone. Clean your lens. Make it a
your
habit.
damn lens.
Yeah, when you pick up the phone and take a photo, give the lens a wipe. Then take the pic. So that is the biggest one, the most important one that I always want to mention. So
before you move on to tip number 2 through 75, I want to mention that David is here. Just want to acknowledge that.
Hello,
not
David.
On time, but he's here.
And then look, I then also just want to quickly show a couple of things within the interface itself.
2 Bruces.
Yeah, I know that's a bit frightening, isn't it? So some people may be. I mean, tip number 2: shoot in landscape. Please shoot in landscape,
especially videos. Especially
Yes.
videos. I can't tell you how many
Don't
times
start like
I've
this
had to tell.
and then do this halfway through the video.
Yeah, because then your video's sideways the rest of the time.
I mean, when you think about it, sort of conventional cameras, they shoot in landscape. Shoot in landscape. I mean, unless you're specifically wanting to take a portrait shot as if you were using an old camera and you tipped it on its side. But as much as possible, it's just so much better to shoot in landscape. So that's my main tip. But as with any sort of photography, you do have that situation with lighting. And of course, one of the problems is if you've got like a lot of backlighting, and all of a sudden the people in the foreground are, so they're all dark and you can't see them. Now, some people may or may not be aware of this, but if you tap, it'll sort of automatic focus and an automatically light adjustment on the location you tapped. What you can then do is you can slide up and down. Now, it's up and down the length of the phone. You have to keep that in mind. It's not this way. It's up and down the length of the phone. If I slide one way, I will affect the brightness one way, and I can't actually see this, I'm afraid, but I go tap there. So if I slide one way, it's not doing it. Hang on.
No, not happening.
It's making a liar out of you.
Yeah, it is. I'm going to have to go back to... Oh, geez,
and by the way, this doesn't apply to people with the new phones that do all the backlight compensation for you. This is only for the old
phones.
Yeah.
But having said that, it is sometimes good to override those settings, because the thing is that they don't always get it right. They do sometimes make mistakes, and sometimes you need to use your superhuman brain over the phone's brain. So basically, you tap, and then you get the ability to go in. Oh, it's done it again.
Nope.
I can do it. As soon as I do it, for whatever reason, the moment I spin it around.
While he's talking about that, I actually use an app called ProCam, and you could actually adjust all those settings manually down here.
Wait. Bruce has it. He has it. Let's acknowledge.
Now. So as you can see, I'm going brighter and darker, so that I can go in and manually control what I am actually wanting to see. But the other nifty feature on this one is, you make that adjustment, but that adjustment doesn't stay. If you tap and hold down, you get a thing called, a little thing comes up that says AEAF lock. That's automatic exposure, automatic focus lock. And then if you make any adjustments to this, you can then take multiple photos and stay on that setting. So that's a really handy one to know, because if you go in and you adjust the brightness and you take a photo and then it just automatically reverts back to the old setting, if you press and hold down, you get the lock. Then you can make the adjustment to whatever you want. We can make it really, really dark here, whatever, like that. And then I can just go and fire off a whole bunch of photos, and that's and it's going to keep that lock setting. So that's just one of the little sort of hidden settings there in the phone. And once again, this is something that was like on the weekend when I was watching someone take some photos and they were in terrible backlight, and I sort of showed them this and they weren't aware of that setting being there. So it's just a very handy little thing to know about.
It is. Now, do you have a whole list you want to go through, or can I throw one in there?
Please throw one in.
Okay. And it's not really a tip. It's just something I wish people would stop doing. Steve. Not every picture has to be a live photo. You can turn it off. You can turn it off sometimes. Just enable it.
Because the one time I want it to be a live photo, time I want it to be a live photo, I'm going to forget to turn that on. So, no. It's your preference. Not how I live.
What is your Xserve doing, Steve? Here. I have to watch 5 seconds before. Oh, okay.
No, you don't, because if you just look at the... If you look at the picture he sent you that's not moving, that's the actual time he hits the snap button.
Yeah.
Remember, it's
if you see my boxers or my feet because I'm lifting the phone up, that's your own fault.
How is that my fault?
You're looking. You could just look at the photo. You don't have to tap it and hold it to the video thing.
Now, like I was saying before, though, Bruce, is I actually have an app called ProCam, and it has auto leveling. I mean, if you look here, I don't know if you can see it, but when you're leveling, the phone actually uses a haptic feedback to let you know when you're level, and also this way as well, horizontal level as well.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
But It also has all manual controls, so it has the automatic exposure, ISO, autofocus, auto white balance, and whatever EF white balance dash minus L is. So it has all
there's
those.
quite a few good camera apps out there. Definitely.
Yeah.
And actually, that's something that is actually built in. There's another thing that is built into the iPhone as well. If you use the little, you can get it to show up these little crosshairs.
Grid.
The little grid there. If you shoot horizontally, let's say you're trying to photograph a piece of paper on the table or something like that, a couple of little crosshairs come up and show you when the phone is actually level. So that's another nice little thing that's in there. But I think a lot of the other don't shoot in square. There's the mode square on the phone.
Why?
I know people like to
put it on the
That's those Instagram people.
That's right. They want it square for Instagram. But here's the thing: when you're shooting in square, it's not doing anything magical. All it's doing is cropping the picture, whether it be a landscape or a portrait. It's just cropping it into a square.
Zoom.
That's right. Once it is cropped, you can't uncrop it. It makes so much more sense to just shoot in landscape or portrait and then crop it square, which you can undo and change. If you find that you didn't quite get the framing right, if you shoot it in portrait or landscape, you have the freedom to then, work out where is the best cropping to do if you want to turn it into a square shot. So that's another one. But the other tips are just generally more photographic tips in terms of keeping the phone steady, that sort of thing. You can get obviously things like tripods and stuff like that for keeping your phone steady, but there are a couple of little tricks that you can follow. Obviously, resting on something to keep your hand steady. You can use a monopod. People may not have considered that as an option there. They're very cheap to buy. You can get ones that will, have a little holder for an iPhone, and they're small enough. They just shrink down these days, small enough to just hang off your belt or something like that. They make tiny, weeny little ones, and they just allow you to just have that one bit that like the one leg that holds the phone steady, and you get you're able to get a nice steady shot from that. I sort of would highly recommend something like that if you're getting serious into your photography. But even simpler than that, if you don't have a tripod or a monopod or anything like that, believe it or not, one way of actually steadying your hand is even just using a piece of rope of all things, or even a long piece of elastic. And you basically put a loop in each end. You put a loop for your foot to go in and a loop for your arm to go in, and you hold the phone up with tension. And the rope actually makes you incredibly steady. And so that's a little, because how hard is it to carry around a little bit of rope or a bit, those sort of long elastic things that you tie down.
A little shameless plug, not for myself, but if you are looking for a tripod or a monopod or whatever you call it, and you don't know what to get, you want some reviews, you want someone with extensive knowledge on the subject, call Grudy. Call Grudy. He knows his tripods. He has a lot of them.
But he never uses them.
They're new in box.
Yep.
We're going to give out his phone number right now.
This is something I got recently. It's one of those little selfie stick, but it's also a tripod.
Cigar.
It's what it looks like, but it opens up.
That's fantastic.
To a tripod. Yeah. Okay, so you can set it down like that. The phone sits inside of here. It's got like a little thing right there, but you can also put the phone in there, but it also stretches out and makes a selfie stick. So you can sit there and put that, and it's all in one pretty much.
That is a very nifty little thing. Yeah, absolutely.
I would have hoped that selfie sticks were banned by now.
I don't
they
use
some places.
This is
I'm sorry, Jay, but your will does not make it true.
The good thing about this is it forces you to do like what Bruce just said: shoot in landscape mode, because the phone only will fit in landscape mode in here.
Yeah, that's the thing I was going to say, because I've had to stop people before at my old job, just coworkers who, they would shoot in landscape video, and the reason I would find this out is they said, "Oh, my daughter had this recital or whatever, and I was shooting." I'm sorry, they would shoot in portrait rather. They would shoot in portrait, or they would start out in portrait and then go to landscape. And be like, I can't turn it. And for the longest time, iOS did not have a rotate video function built in, and now it finally does. but for the longest time it didn't. So I would have to like download the QuickTime file, open up like QuickTime 7. There's like a button in QuickTime 7 Pro. You do it, you save it, whatever. But I always tell these people, I'm like, well, why are you doing it that way? Well, it's just holding the phone that way. I said, all right, well, think of the way your television is. Unless you're going to get a television and mount it sideways for the one time you show these accidental portrait videos that you take, you're going to want to hold the phone this way to take a video. Take a second to think about it before you grab it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can I throw in another quick tip?
Of course.
For those with old phones, not 7 old, but like iPhone 4 old or whatever, yeah. Especially if you keep your phone as up to date as possible, whatever that system might be, your phone gets a little slower.
A little bit.
Just having the camera app open takes a lot of processing power because it has to display everything, adjust levels and all that. So if you take a picture, just hold it steady for 1 second after you think it took the picture. Because more often than not, people with really old phones, they take a picture, put the phone down, and it didn't take the picture here, it took it here on the way down. So just give it a second to process.
I have that problem even with the iPhone 8 sometimes. I'll
I'm
be
going
like,
to say my 6S does that.
Yeah, my 7 does that. Yep.
Which, of course, is one of the things you might prevent by using a tripod as well.
Yep. Now, if you're a real fancy pants, you could go down the path of getting something like this.
Gimbal.
Now, this is a gimbal, and these are really fancy things.
You just called yourself a real fancy pants. You know that, right?
I do. You know I'm a fancy pants.
He's not wearing any
yes.
Look at his Facebook picture.
So anyhow, this here basically, I mean, this is powered, so it's charged up. If I were to switch this off, which I'm going to do now, the phone just goes.
Oh, that's sad.
If I switch it back on again, it goes. And then it's using like a little gyro thing inside it to make sure that phone always remains steady no matter what I do with it.
Groody really needs one of those.
and this gives you the ability to then you can, with the software that comes with these, you can then actually track things. You can launch into the software and you can get it to actually track faces. So even if a person moves around, this will then just automatically follow them. It has a little foldy outy leggy thing here if you want to actually use it as a tripod. It looks very similar, doesn't it?
So mine's not as sophisticated as that.
So I'd say these of course are really good if you're doing handheld video type stuff, because you can go walking around. I mean, I've done a comparison of using this just like with your hands, just walking, compared to using one of these, and it's just chalk and cheese. I mean, it is just silky smooth when you're using one. Again, this is sort of like if you're probably more for people going down the video path than the still photography path. But these are a really nice little fancy piece of kit here.
I would have loved to have one of those when I went e-waste dumpster diving.
Yes, you just needed batteries when you did that. That was the main thing you needed.
Batteries, he needed
liquor,
needed a good charger in his car. Is what he needed.
Yes.
That has been rectified. That has been rectified.
Oh, excellent, because we had that on our Christmas list. But and then of course the other thing I was just going to very quickly mention, as GT has sort of already mentioned, is third-party software for things. Whether it be third-party software for still photography, or if you're going into video, I would highly recommend. There's one called, I think it's called Filmic Pro, and it has some amazing sort of movie type like filters and stuff like that.
Cinematic.
That's the word. And so you can end up with some of the most extraordinary looking footage just using something like the Filmic Pro. It does cost money, but it's it's a great tool. Yeah, I know that always scares Jay. So anyhow, that's they're the majority of my little tips. So if anyone wants to jump in,
you said you had
tips.
a good hour of tips, dude.
Oh, I talked too fast. Sorry.
Well, I want to add one on there, which might seem obvious, but not a lot of people do it. If you want to get into iPhone photography or shoot video, practice. Know where the settings are, know what to do, because there's so many people I know that they want to take a picture of a squirrel that ran by, And I'm like Clint Eastwood with this phone. I got the picture. But a lot of people are like, oh wait, where's the app? They don't even know they got a shortcut on the home screen. Or if you want to get good at it, practice.
Yeah. And it's probably not a bad idea if you're really getting into it, is to do a little bit of a digital photography course. There are plenty online. There are people on YouTube doing that sort of stuff, because even though we're shooting with a phone, a lot of the digital photography concepts are all the same. It is just a digital camera in a phone. And so, things like understanding lighting, knowing where to stand if you're wanting to shoot someone, if you're looking around to where the sun is, where to put them to get the best shot. If you're shooting where there's direct sight and there's direct sunlight and there's some shade as well, and you try and photograph someone in that, you're never going to get the picture well. You're going to end up either the exposure being set for the sunlight or for the shadow. So try and get them in shade. Shooting under cloud cover, you'll often get far better results than you will with direct sunlight. They're just sort of general photographic tips that will really help you get much better photos.
Can I add one more?
No.
Be aware of reflections. They're There's a funny set of pictures that we were looking at a few days ago where people try to sell mirrors online and they desperately try to take pictures without showing themselves in the frame, and there was some weird stuff showing up. Same thing with
or wear clothes
if you're going to do it. Yeah.
Be aware of reflections and backgrounds. Just because you look cute in that selfie doesn't mean that we can't see that unflushed toilet behind you.
That's
look at the pictures before you post them somewhere. You don't necessarily have to edit all of them in Photoshop.
You're making too much sense. I don't think.
I know, but I've seen so many turds in selfie photos that I never want to do it again.
And on that turd note, I wanted to just mention one more.
This is going to go downhill fast now.
All right, we're getting demonetized for this now. So
no, trust me, you ain't.
The other thing I quickly just want to mention, of course, is HDR on the phones, because people might see that there and wonder what it is. It stands for high dynamic range, and generally the principle is this, and that is that most photographic formats, if we're talking about things like JPEG, for example, they use, they have 3 color channels, red, green, and blue, and they have 8 bits per channel. They put that together, which gives you, what is it, total? Is 24 bits, or is it, something like that. And what that essentially means is each channel, red, green, and blue, can be one of 256 different shades, and with that gives you a grand total of 16.7 million sort of different shades of color. Now, the problem is that when you are photographing stuff, the world is in far more than 16.7 million colors. And so
have you counted them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Especially if
1,
you're a mantis.
2, 3. So
third.
So the thing is that what ends up happening is if you have this as the range of visible light, when you shoot with a digital camera, it's capturing this range of visible light. And so what you end up having to do is obviously you set the exposure at what you want to capture, and if you shoot, so that you're capturing someone's face, you may not be able to see the clouds in the sky, or you may not be able to see the detail in the shadows, because you have asked it to take this little section of that visible light range. Now, what HDR does is it essentially, because first of all, the little CCDs that capture light, they can usually capture far greater than 16.7 million colors, but they have to clip down. They aren't necessarily going to capture a huge amount, but they can capture more than 16.7 million. Generally, what HDR, there are 2 different ways that HDR can work. First of all, is to just take whatever the CCD captured, and rather than just taking a little piece from it in the middle, it takes a lot and squishes it down. So it crams all of that highlight, mid-tone, shadow detail down into that 256. So rather than just taking a piece out of the middle, it takes the whole thing and squishes it down. So that's sort of what HDR does. And that can be done either by just, capturing more of the color range there from a CCD, but what some cameras will also do is they'll take bracketed shots. They'll take a shot with a high exposure, a shot with a medium exposure and then a shot with a low exposure, all instantaneously, then they'll take all of that range, all of the different range, and then squish it down in there. Now, I hope that all makes sense.
Well, the biggest problem I've ever had with HDR, especially on the Apple phones, is when it does that with the 3 different pictures, like you just said, is that you get ghosting if something is moving in the picture. And I've seen that happen more than it. So that's the reason why I rarely, if ever, use HDR. Because
HDR is not ideal for moving subjects.
I've had it turned on by default since I got this phone. I've never had that issue.
Yeah. It does depend on the sorts of things you're photographing. I mean, if you're out there photographing vistas or something like that, then sure, HDR is great. You can go in and take the shot and hold it nice and still.
But anything moving is you're gonna see the ghosting.
And sometimes you're going to be photographing stuff where you just get zero benefit from it whatsoever. The times when you should be using HDR are when you are trying to capture as much of that, sort of visible light gamut as possible. And that's why I use the example of shooting like a vista if you're trying to, take mountainscape and see the clouds and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I left it on, but there was also that option to save the original photo, so you could play around with it. You could turn it on, turn it off. I just leave it on, but you do get the original image there if you want.
Because HDR sometimes has a bit of an over-processed look about it. Yeah. Sometimes ends up being a little bit painted and not so much real because we're just not used to sort of seeing that sort of thing.
Well, I haven't tried it much on my newer phones, but I know on the older phones, like for instance the 5 and the 6, they did look like that. They looked over-processed, but maybe with the newer...
It's gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only time I had the blurring...
brings up another point I want to make. Always edit after the fact. There's people that take all their selfies with filters and like, oh, look how smooth my skin is. You lost the original because the original is the filter photo. So you always want to keep your original, save the editing or the filters or whatever for later.
So that basically means no to Snapchat.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. I
agree. I'm continually preaching that to people. If they're taking a photo with a filter on, I go, take the filter off and then you can take the photo. I don't, if you're photographing with that filter on, that's it. You can't go back. I don't need to look like I have makeup on. I'm pretty enough as is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because my wife had that a week ago or so, 2 weeks ago. We went somewhere. There was this Halloween display, and we took a picture of my kid standing there, cute as hell, with pinchy cheeks and all that. But the picture accidentally had a filter on it, whatever kind of app she uses. It had a Halloween frame around it. Now, it's a cute photo, but I really want to have the original of that photo without all that frame BS around it. But that's not going to happen because
you gotta pay her to Photoshop it out.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, it doesn't always apply. A lot of people live their life in filter land, like actually believing that's the way they look and that's the way the world looks, which is fine. But someday you're going to take a picture and you wish you had the original and you don't. So.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I think that, obviously since I used to have the first model iPhone, and I remember it was a fixed focus and all this stuff. It didn't do video. It was very rudimentary.
How did we survive?
It's been leaps and bounds.
You actually could do video if you jailbroke it.
Yes.
Let me finish. But no, yeah, on the 3G you could do. I mean, on the original one you could, but it was like you'd suffer a lot.
Oh, it
on the
sucks,
3G,
yeah.
On the 3G you could jailbreak it. I did do that, and I did get the $3 video app or whatever, and it was horrible. I think I used it like twice because the phone would just like lock up.
Bad.
There was a reason why Apple didn't enable it, even if the camera had the ability to do so. The CPU and everything else just couldn't keep up. But yeah, it's funny that I look back at some of those old photos. Like I'll go to a folder on my machine and it's like the old iPhone 2008 backup or whatever, and I open those and I'm like, wow, all right. And I open one of these and like the file size is different. Has all this post processing that it's doing, and I think that's why I'm going to stick to an iPhone. I mean, I'm already in the ecosystem for the apps and all that stuff, but like I always see these ads for like the different cameras from like all these other Android phones, and they're always nice, but I think that Apple has done a very good job on the software aspect of the photos and the stuff that they're doing with the new phones and this, Apple RAW and all this stuff and the ProRes, whatever they call it. I think that it just shows that they have a lot of experience in that area, and it's not just on their top models. They have a lot of that stuff, across the whole board. So I think they're just continually improving on that, and that's really what makes me buy a new phone. I could care less if it's faster. If you have a better camera on it, that's probably what'll get my attention.
Yeah. Now, Ricardo here makes a good point, actually. Talking about, download and try all photo apps you want, but then stick to a few favorites. The problem with that is like what Jay was saying earlier is getting the phone out real quick and using, to push that little, on the lock screen, the photo app. Well, then you're stuck with the iPhone's, generic, stock app. Well, Apple, this is my opinion, but I know Apple will never do it, is they need to make it where you can actually make that button work any app you want on there. So if you want to use a separate app to use that button on, it should work that way. That's my opinion.
Nice.
But it's not ever gonna. It's never gonna happen.
Yeah, well, it took them forever to do that.
Talking Android talk there.
Yeah. I'm talking common sense talk. Yeah, that's too much. Yeah.
And my final tip is, if you're serious about photo and video, if you go out on a stroll or you plan to shoot a video, whatever, make sure you have enough space on your phone and your battery is charged.
Yeah.
And this is not a jab at Steve.
Yeah,
even though it is now that I mentioned it.
Thanks.
But make sure you have space. It sucks if you go to a party or an event or whatever and you run out of space or battery. That sucks.
Thankfully, I don't think I've ever run out of space for a long time since I enabled like the iCloud photo thing.
I think Grudy has run out of space. I think he said he has.
Yeah.
He has it set at like 4K, 60 frames per second or whatever.
Yep.
And of course, there are lots of like little clip-on filters and stuff you can get for iPhones, filters and zoom lenses and wide-angle lenses and all that sort of stuff. They're out there. Just keep in mind, of course, you get what you pay for. If you're buying like a set of like 3 lenses for, I don't know, $8 or something like that, they're going to be garbage. Yes, they will, allow you to do wide angle and they will allow you to do zoom, but the end result is going to be awful with a lot of chromatic aberration.
I remember my iPhone 3G. It was a white iPhone 3G, but I had a black Griffin case for it, and over the camera it had a little macro lens because the iPhone 3G had a fixed, focal length camera or whatever, the fixed lens rather, and so you could just slide the little thing and a little piece of plastic went in front of it, and it worked okay. It was all right, but then I noticed after like that case was on for like years, there was etched in the white plastic of the phone was like just the motion of that case bit going back and forth just permanently scarred itself in there. The case is still on the phone, because why take it off now? But yeah, I remember that.
I think I might get myself a macro because since the Apple magnifier has gone to absolute garbage with the iOS version 14 update, I think I might have to revert to some sort of external.
What is your problem with the magnifier?
What's the issue with that?
No.
When you take the photo, they're nowhere near as clear as they used to be under iOS 13. Now, this might be something to do with the fact that I've got an iPhone 7. Perhaps they've disabled some of the stabilization
like the digital
stuff.
zoom, or.
But if you go into the magnifier and then you zoom into some really small writing, and then you take a photo, the photo will actually be blurrier than the live picture.
I'm going to try this now on my 8.
So, but
taking a screenshot.
Here's the thing, though, is that my wife actually uses for her shows, because she does Pearl show, she uses a macro lens, a clip-on, and it clips on to her phone, and then she shows it because it blurs everything, and then anything that's close up is crystal clear.
The photo I took, now this is with HDR auto on. The photo I took is sharper than the screen grab I took from the
what phone are you using there?
An 8.
Okay, well maybe this is something that they've disabled.
We'll do some tests afterwards.
It's certainly not the case on mine. The end result, and it's so different to the way it was on on iOS 13. On 13, you could be moving around. It can be the phone could be wobbling. You would take the photo. It would extrapolate all of that movement and it would create this beautiful pin sharp image. And that's gone from my phone now.
Oops.
Yeah, sucks.
All right.
Okay, well I think we've flogged
That's
this
all
one.
the tips I had. Tips and complaints, I should say.
You could buy Jay's photography book on.
All the tips he gave. Now, I know this is a dumb question for you. Where the hell is the magnifier at? Because I've never seen it on.
No, you just pinch to
switch
zoom.
it on.
Huh?
You have to switch it on, so it's not on by default.
That's probably why I never see it, because I never
and
mess
it's
with the
in the
default.
settings. I think it's. Let me just check here. It's in the.
It's an app now.
I thought it was an app, but
Yeah.
Are you just talking about the pinch to zoom, like
No.
in the camera app?
No, the actual magnifier app. Yeah.
What?
Oh.
it's an accessibility.
Yeah.
Oh.
And you can actually have it so that it'll
course
come
it
up on your. It'll come up on your. Your
Oh, yeah,
thingy.
it's off.
Yeah, mine was off. Yeah.
All right, then I'm talking garbage because I've never used that. I just use the camera app. But
Well, that's the
let's
reason
try it
why.
out.
That's the reason why I was asking. I was like magnifier. I was looking all over. I even typed in my searches like magnifier. I was like, where the hell is it?
Yeah, I
Right,
mean
let's see.
it was really really handy little thing.
Oh,
now-
it's doing some processing on it. Makes it look like garbage. I see what you're saying, Bruce.
Yeah, and it didn't used to. It used to actually the end result. I mean, I've got heaps of them because I would use them for taking serial numbers on computers and
Oh
stuff like
yeah.
that, and they would
It's-
come out perfectly sharp.
Yeah, so I'll show you an example of this live. So,
They broke it. They
so,
broke it.
for example, I'm gonna zoom into just focus on some text here if I could actually do it. There we go. And you see sort of that crosshatch pattern there.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it looks like
Rose
garbage.
Now, no, wait, I didn't take a picture of it yet. Now, just wait. Let me see if I could. There we go. We'll focus on that. And instantly, you see it does this like dark halftone change to it.
Yours
It's
is
very
still
slight.
better than mine. So
It's very
it
slight.
It must be an iPhone 7 thing. So I need to upgrade.
Well, here's
I
an
need to
iPhone
upgrade
10.
phones
This
or
is
downgrade it
this
iOS.
is what it looks like on iPhone 10s. I just took a picture of my slash mark on my keyboard, and it's
I
pretty
mean,
clear
that's-
actually.
That's
Yeah, it
huge.
works pretty
That's
well for
actually
me. It's
something
just
small.
not as easily accessible anymore.
Well, it's in your apps, whatever they call it now, the app library.
And we got some iPhone photography haters in the chat here,
Uh-oh.
namely my own dear wife and Madeline. So
See how
share
blue
your
that is?
stories, share your nightmare scenarios.
Obviously, any DSLR is going to beat the crap out of a phone, but the best camera
Yeah.
is the one you have on you. So,
It's a very, very good point. I've got a nice DSLR camera, and I would love to shoot with that all the time. But there are times where you just simply don't want to take it with you.
Yep.
oh yeah, it's
Right,
battery
so
charged. If it's bulky, if you could actually take it to where you're going without getting yelled at.
And
So-
Garrett Green, yes, I do use Filmic Pro.
I do have a question because, like, on this magnifier, because, I mean, yes, it does stop, and work, but when I use the camera app, I use the 2x zoom first, and then I zoom in, and it's like really crystal clear.
This
Well,
doesn't
you have a two.
But
yeah,
this
you have
has
an optical zoom.
I have the two cameras on. I have the two
and
times,
we don't have that, you silly Billy.
but I
Well,
have
that's
it.
not our fault.
Exactly.
I am talking about the tools that Apple has made available for me. All I'm saying
All right.
is that it was very good in iOS 13, and it's very not good in iOS
The
14.
tools that Apple
I
made available
assume
for
that-
you is the iPhone 12. It's available to you. You
Yes.
just haven't bought it.
I actually have, and it will be here sometime next
Not
month because
talking
it's
to you.
backordered.
I have a 6S and I turned on the magnifier and I see no difference, so I assume it doesn't work for me. So I'm done.
You have what, the 6S?
Yeah.
Time for you to upgrade there, Dana.
Well, while we're talking about these camera things, Snazzy Labs just did a review of the iPhone 12, and among all of the different things that he talked about was the camera. And he said if you have an iPhone 11, you don't need to upgrade to the 12 because there's not much difference at all.
Good. That'll save me money.
And
I'll get an old iPhone 11.
But I don't have an iPhone 11.
I was thinking of getting a 12 because this thing is so old now, and I mean it still works. It does everything I want, but there's obviously some features that don't work at all. So
bet that they're going to cut off the iOS upgrades for it soon.
I figured they would have by now, and they haven't. But it runs better under 14 than it did under 13. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
but
I have to go back and look at last week's episode or the week before that. I don't remember. But when we were talking about the iPhone's camera no longer being repairable and all that, weren't you a big screw Apple, screw iPhone 12? 2 days later, like, I just ordered mine. What's up with that?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yes,
No,
the only
I did
person
not.
who ordered one.
I did not say that about the. I just said the repairability sucks.
I
But
go to the videotape.
no, you go to the videotape. I just said the repairability sucks. Yes, I agree with that.
Mm.
But you know what? I'm still going to get the iPhone 12 because I like the blue color one. Simple as that. It sold me. That sold
Somebody
me.
get an iPhone 11, spray paint it blue, and sell it to Jensen. Oh, now we're getting our cameras out? Where's my
yeah,
quick tape?
Steve being fancy.
Where's my
I'm supporting Madeline and Ms. Aliki in the chat here because
Me too.
I don't know where mine is. I think my wife has.
I thought Steve was going to get a Mavica.
Is this high resolution?
Bruce and I have backgrounds in commercial printing and offset printing. So yes, I fully agree. Don't use your phone to take professional photos if you're going to do a printed piece.
Everyone smile.
Yeah, just use a quick take and you'll be done.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can make out the image.
Wait 30 seconds
not
for
even
the
there.
light to adjust.
until phones have something like this hanging off the end of them, these ones will always be better.
Yeah, and when
I loved-
phones have that hanging off the end of them, I'll go back to a flip phone.
I loved Sony's attempt to do that, and everyone who reviewed it was like, why did they even try? Because the end result was very mediocre. They basically had a case for a phone, and you had a big Sony lens on the back of it. But the price of it.
I thought that was the Motorola one that they had the case back so you could slap on.
No. I'm saying it's a case or a clip. It doesn't matter if it's an iPhone or whatever. And there's a big DSLR type lens on there. I believe it was Sony that manufactured it. And everyone who reviewed it essentially said, for the price of this kit, you could get last year's point and shoot model, and you'd have better photos without the jittering of your phone or anything like that. It's a neat idea, but it was not executed well.
Well, I hate to say it, and I'm not a photographer. I don't use my phone to take pictures or anything. But my iPhone 6s Plus takes better pictures than my 24.5 megapixel Sony camera.
Well, that goes back to what Steve was saying, and that is why I upgrade my phone when I do, because even though the sensors are smaller, the megapixels are smaller, all that stuff, Apple does some real serious magic with the processing and the software. Like, every time there's a new phone out, like, oh, let's compare the iPhone 25 with the Samsung 655. 99% of all the shots look better on the iPhone, even though the other phone has more megapixels, more this, more that. So, yeah.
That's because Apple's improved their processing, like Bruce was saying earlier, of the photos. The post-processing is what is really making those photos stand out versus the ones with the 10 bazillion megapixels,
Yeah, megapixels aren't everything. They're really not.
No, they're not.
You can go and buy yourself a really, really dirt cheap camera that boasts some incredibly high megapixels, but unless that is a good quality CCD shooting through good quality glass, the end result is going to be high megapixel rubbish.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, my I don't know if you guys watch my videos like all the time.
Yeah, sometimes.
The last couple of videos I did on my Canon. I have a Canon. What the heck is this thing? I don't even remember. I usually only use it for like close-up shots because it's just a little point. It's a power shot. It's a Canon Power Shot 230. I mean, it's old. I think it's like 14 megapixels. Oh, it's 12.1 megapixels. And you know what? Truthfully, I get better pictures out of this than I do with the Sony Alpha. Now doing a video, if you watch the video, you can tell I'm not using the Sony camera because the zoom is, or the focus is horrible on this thing. It doesn't like focusing when things are moving, but it takes really good pictures. It's got a great microphone on it, unlike the Sony. So I mean, there's trade-offs either way. But I'm with Bruce. It's like megapixels don't mean squat. If you could have a 500 megapixel camera, and it ain't gonna be.
Whoever is smashing their keyboard, calm down.
As I mean, my very first digital camera.
Go ahead.
My very first digital camera was like I can't remember, is it Agfa or something like Kodak DC 265 or something like that. It was like 3 megapixels or something like that. I can't remember. It was an incredibly low number. 1.3? I don't know. Whatever it was very low. But that still took better photos than sort of a lot of higher megapixel cameras that came later in a lower price point. So it was just it just had a better quality glass and better quality CCD in it.
Hey Steve.
Yep.
You don't have my Mavica sitting there somewhere, do you?
It's on the other side of the basement,
okay.
But I will grab it if you. Wait. There's one right here. Hold on.
It's okay.
I'm getting up.
Steve actually has my very first digital camera that I bought. It was a Mavica FD75.
It's the one that ran on a floppy disk, right? Or saved on a floppy disk.
Stored pictures on floppies. It had a VGA resolution of 640 by 40, which was 0.3 megapixels. But let me tell you, the pictures that thing took were absolutely freaking amazing. And the zoom, it had a 10x optical zoom on it. There was no digital crap. And God.
What's the point of a digital zoom on a 640 by 480 image?
True, but I mean, I could do some really nice macro shot. That's not the one exactly.
It's not the one,
but it's pretty similar. And I used to carry that thing everywhere. Oh my God!
I love that.
You can store about 20 pictures on a floppy disk.
It is a chunky one too.
It is.
I think that was
Chunky
actually bigger.
monkey.
Which one is that? That's the FD1.
This is the MVC FD7.
Is that the one you could take one picture and that's it?
No, you can take more than one. The compression they used was actually pretty smart. What did you say?
Oh, you could take 5 then, right?
No, you could take a good dozen or so, depending on the quality. And what's good is they had some pretty good compression algorithms there, so it wasn't too bad. But what was funny is they did make an adapter, and the adapter is super hard to find. Thankfully I have one, but it's basically a floppy disk, and then you have a Sony memory stick that you could put in there, and then there are 2 button cell batteries. So some of the cameras are actually compatible with that floppy disk adapter, where you could have more storage space, which was great because some of these you could actually shoot video on. And they had pretty good lenses and stuff like that, but obviously it compresses the heck out of that to fit on a floppy disk.
One thing that I want to bring up is lighting. If you are inside, I've taken better pictures with crappy cameras with excellent lighting than state-of-the-art cameras with crappy lighting. And one example, which is not really iPhone photography, but take the original iSight camera. By any standard, it was garbage until you turn on the light. Then it was a phenomenal picture. It was a crappy sensor, it was small, and so many things wrong with the iSight. But as soon as you turn on the light and you had good lighting, it was a phenomenal camera. And the same applies to your iPhone, your Sony, your Canon, whatever. It's a lot of the magic is in the lighting.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
Okay. I've said enough on this.
Yeah, me too.
I put in my nickel.
GT, you might want to put your microphone on a piece of foam or something.
Yeah. Oh, it's probably because I have it right up next to the micro. Or I have it right up next to the keyboard.
Very bassy. Please stop.
All right. Sorry about that.
Okay.
All right, guys. So we're ready for our last topic, which we have about like 10 minutes for it. So
that's all right. We can skim through this fast.
Worst repair ever. I know a lot of us in this Mac Yak have done repairs. We want to talk about your worst repair, but it actually works. So in other words, it looks bad as awful. We're not going to say that. Yeah, there we go. It looks bad. Okay, but it works. So I don't really have any examples around here. I mean, I've got an old iPod that I did, but I screwed up the screen on. I mean, I cracked the screen a little bit, so you could say that, but it still works. I mean, but
yeah. I got nothing I can show because we're talking board repairs.
Yeah.
But I've done a few boards that were so beyond damaged, but it was being handsomely paid to recover the data from it, and we're talking like exploded spaghetti mess of bodge wires. It couldn't even fit it back into the case. I had to leave it external, hook up a screen, hold it up with duct tape, and just kind of piece it all back together. It was the ugliest repair I've ever done, but it worked. Got all the data back.
I have an example.
Okay.
It's not a Mac, I'm afraid.
That's all right. We didn't.
This here is an Atari portfolio. For anyone who might have seen one of these, it appeared in Terminator 2.
Oh,
it was used to steal money from ATM. ATM. Now, I got one of these back in 1992. Not this one. Now, these, like a lot of other of these sorts of things, use flex ribbons to connect the screen to the base section so that they can open and close. And like so many devices that use little flex ribbon cables to, link between a screen and a base unit, little flex ribbon, they wear out, they tear, they crack. And that happened to my original Atari portfolio that I have in my hand right here. And basically, what I ended up doing was opening it up, removing the old flex cable, getting myself some big old chunky ribbon cable like this, soldering it to the bottom and soldering it to the top, then cutting myself a nice little hole in the bottom of the Atari portfolio here, for that ribbon cable to hang out and then go through into the back section there. I made some little feet for it so that it would actually stand up, like that, with the cable coming out there. And the thing is that when I did this, these have actually become quite collectible now. The time I did this, they weren't collectible, and I had only one focus, and that was to get it working. I didn't really care how it looked. I just wanted it to work, and it did. It now
does it still work?
Yeah.
Well,
Madeline's yelling at you.
It doesn't have any batteries in it, but it does work.
Well, if it works, then hey. Because the one in T2 was a little bit jerry-rigged as well. So
it was Hollywooded. Come on now.
Side.
It put a lot of stuff that probably never was supposed to go on there and never would really work.
So you could add some random stuff to it that doesn't do anything, and it'll look legit.
Yep. Okay, who's next?
Looks like Steve's ready.
Steve, get ready.
This is not the one that I famously butchered on a live stream on one of my first recapping attempts. I was hoping to find that one, but there's a stack of LCs, and it would take me a while to do that. But one of my first recappings that I did was a Macintosh LC2, and
that poor thing.
It was like an 8-hour stream.
Longest to date.
I was lifting pads left and right. And every step along the way, I think I put a capacitor on the wrong way. I think I ripped up a trace, and I had to do a trace repair. And it was a first of a lot of things. Yes. And at the end, I plugged it in, and I heard a chime, and I thought, okay, well, Bruce, I think, was like, oh, my chime, even if it's been damaged a little bit. So I decided to plug a screen into it. And the thing turned on, and I just lost it. After 8 hours of, butchering this thing.
He squealed.
I squealed like a little girl, and I'm like, hey, it bombed, it boots, oh my god. You know, the thing chimed after I butchered the horrible thing. So this is not the particular board, but this is the type of logic board I was working on. I would strongly suggest nobody attempt one with such a tight cluster of capacitors as one of their first jobs, because holy moly, that's a lot of caps right there.
And then, of course, keeping in mind that those, was it the 10 microfarad 16 volt, are a little bit too big for the pads.
Yep, and that's why I ordered smaller ones. So
as my wife is saying, she remembers hearing the squeal. She actually saw the video and thought you had lost your mind. Like, is he okay in the head?
No,
Just giggling uncontrollably.
After you've tried to fix something for 8 hours straight and it miraculously works afterwards, you would have the same reaction, I assure you.
Oh yeah.
Like, holy crap, it works. That's me.
Dana, you got any stories about pliers or something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Jay, you should have a good one there about a fix you did.
But it didn't look horrible. I fixed that thing up to make it look factory fresh.
It's sitting right here. That's it right there.
It purred.
And it's what you're talking on right now, right?
Is that a Palm Pilot cradle on top of there?
What? No.
It looked like there was a Palm cradle on top, and I was excited.
It's a drive reader.
In
fact, you want to just look at my screen? Hey guys, this is Mac Yak behind the scenes. Woo!
Infinity shot.
I think Jay should tell him about the computer that he found in the out in the rain that looks like crap.
Yeah, Jay.
That works good.
But that's not the worst. Yeah. That's not a worse repair that looks like crap. So
it doesn't look pretty.
It looked like crap before. Jay just made it look pretty again.
No, it doesn't look pretty.
Well, if you want my wife chiming in there, even though it's way exaggerated, out of proportion.
Nope, I agree with her on that one.
It doesn't look that bad. Come on. Okay, so wife's iMac, one of those thin pieces of crap. Opened it up, cleaned it out, did some upgrades, put it back together. It was too cheap to buy the tape strips, so I put electrical tape on it. You can barely tell it's there. Yeah, I don't think it qualifies. I did not put Gus in there. Gus is a mosquito that died behind the glass and is now permanently stuck there. I didn't put him there. That glass is supposed to be fused to the LCD. I have no idea how a mosquito got in there.
Yeah.
Gus is not on me.
Life finds a way.
Death finds a way.
Gus hates you.
So what about you, Mike? Have you ever, either it's a Mac or a truck or something that you've tried to repair and it looks ugly but it works?
Oh, dude, you don't even want to talk about the truck.
I do.
The front end of that thing is so pieced together, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
But in terms of computers, probably the worst one I ever had was my PowerBook 540C. As anybody knows, they have a tendency to fall apart by looking at them cross-eyed. That thing had, I swear to God, it was an 8-pound laptop with 4 pounds of epoxy holding it together.
Sounds right.
And it still worked beautiful. Both batteries worked. One of the batteries I dropped and the case fell apart. I had to glue that back together. Oh my God, that thing was a nightmare. But I'll tell you what, it was probably still one of my favorite machines. I wish I still had it.
I think I have a 520C I could give you, but it's not pretty. It's from the E-Waste place.
I don't know too many of them nowadays that are pretty.
Yeah, I took them because they had the back port covers. The piece that was the only intact plastic. I'm like, all right, I'll take them for that.
Wow, that's a miracle. That's usually the first thing that falls off of them.
Exactly. That's the only reason I took them.
Oh my goodness.
Now I could say that I had an iMac 2017. I did the same thing Jay did to his wife's, where I had the electrical tape on it. It does look like garbage.
But didn't you use blue painter's tape?
Huh?
Didn't you use blue painter's tape?
I used electrical tape. No, I used black electrical.
I used Captain tape the first time around, and then I used painter's tape the time after that, because I actually clean that iMac quite frequently. And now I use black electrical tape. You cannot, you don't see it's there.
We want photos in Discord, Jay. We want photos in Discord.
All right, I will put photos
I don't
on
know.
Discord after the show.
It sounds like Miss Alike thinks differently.
She
Just
does.
look at the thickness of this camera compared to a phone. It's hilarious. Get like 15 of these things like all stacked up.
Well, that phone runs on AA batteries too, probably.
Yeah, the size of this thing is
Jeez.
just like battery is just.
But it's probably a good thing we don't have Grudy on here tonight because he probably has so many repairs.
We'd have to extend this show by about 5 hours.
No,
Just
yeah,
go watch
exactly.
his channel, you'll see.
Yeah, just watch his channel. Every one of his videos is something that looks like what's the word I'm looking for?
Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah, there we go. Frankenstein.
That's meant with love, Grudy. Trust us.
Yes. He's not watching us right now. He doesn't have Wi-Fi unless he goes steal it off his
He's
neighbor.
gonna catch up. 2 years from now, he's gonna watch us and go, "Hey,
You were talking smack about me."
All right, guys. So we ready to move on here? We only got one
With
more
what?
thing,
We're
roughly.
done.
No, we got one more thing.
We do?
Yes, we do. So what
one
were
more
they
thing?
smoking?
What were they smoking?
All right, let me paste in.
Oh, right.
This,
What were they smoking?
paste in this link here. If you guys go there, I don't know who which one of you guys put this one in.
I don't know.
All right, Dana, go for it.
All right. So what we have here
buckle in,
is a
guys."
Quadra 700 with, Quadra 700's worth a modest amount of money already. But, so apparently what this guy has with it is an early Kodak motion analyzer kit, which was fairly rare on its own, although it does not have the camera. It has the card and the documentation and all that stuff, and he's got it all in a nice, big heavy metal case with the foam inserts as you did back in the 90s. $20,000, and I can't explain why. No idea.
What is?
I think
what
he's
is a
probably
motion
smoking
analyzer?
some of that foam.
I
What's that?
think he is, yeah.
Can
Yeah.
someone explain to me what the motion analyzer is?
Is it a video capture card?
I don't know.
It's down here in the description, I thought. Hold on.
That's way out of my league, so I don't know. Is it like a camera that projects? Or like teachers
that
use or
projector
something?
is just how he had it set up to boot, I think.
I think somebody
Elite called it,
somebody
he's
on our
on crack.
Discord. Yeah. Somebody
the
on our
fact-
Discord had mentioned what that kit was, and I don't have Discord open right now, but it's probably under what were they smoking, and because there was a brief discussion about it. But and then on top of that, your shipping is $171.
I always
Probably because of
love
the weight of that
I
crate.
always love it. Yeah, but
Yeah.
you could pad that. I mean, come on, you ask an astronomical amount. You don't eat the shipping
Well,
costs.
the thing's already padded. All he has to do is put some
Slap a
wrapping
label on
paper
Yeah.
around. Yeah.
Slap a shipping label
So
on it.
it's apparently a high-speed camera.
But
there's no camera.
if you look closely, there is a make offer option.
$2
Yeah.
is with the shipping costs. That's the most I pay.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, obviously Quadra 700, make that go for what it goes, and then any of this other stuff, I don't know, $50. I mean, the box copy
Yeah,
of Photoshop is neat, but like,
Yeah.
Unless
it's a
you're
neat
into
thing
that
to talk
stuff.
about, but
I love the
you've
fact
got,
that he
like you
lists
said, you've
the
got the
original list
documentation.
price.
You've
Oh,
got
yeah. People love
the
doing that.
card. You've got everything except for the actual Kodak camera, which was the kind of the key piece, I would say.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
But, yeah,
well, the
I think
guy
he's smoking some of
lists
that.
he lists the list price, but you could see by the footnotes there that he literally copied and pasted that text from Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's
And he
the
cut
thing,
off
though.
and he cut off the T in the, because it says this box has to ship FedEx ground. Then the description starts. He Macintosh 700. It's like, oh god, you can't even cut and paste correctly.
If
He's
I'm
even
gonna
got the
pay
header in
20
there for
grand
Wikipedia.
For whatever the hell that is, I expect you to at least sweat over the description to be perfect for 5 hours.
Yeah, that plastic is the left foot of that. If I'm looking at the side of it, it looks Looks like there's a little ding in it, but what do
Yeah, he mentioned in the description that there's a couple of broken parts on the case.
It says the only flaw in the tire is one side of the lid. I'm assuming it means lid.
I can't type.
Push down broke off.
He can't copy and paste.
They are on eBay, and I was bidding on another one. It still closes, no problem, but both rubber clip downs work.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, well, that's a steal, that one.
He's smoking whatever that clip was made out of.
I'm going to offer him $50.
Yeah. I would honestly do a make offer just for the heck of it, but the shipping of $171 is something I would not accept, so never mind.
Yeah,
because, I mean, the shipping's worth more than the whole thing is worth, actually.
Yeah.
So, guys, what was this guy smoking? And I think Jay's wife hit it on the head. He was on some serious crack.
I'm going to have to agree with that.
Mostly
because if I don't agree with her, I get.
Who was it that said he was smoking the foam in that hard case?
Yeah, the foam in the hard case.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah.
Somebody cut out those inserts for everything, so that it had to go somewhere. And I think he's just been smoking it slowly while he waits for the seal to
some
finish.
Good glue on it, man.
Oh yeah,
man, this stuff stings.
All right. Before we go, though, anybody else want to go out with some shameless self promotions before we get to the end of this?
I'm going to clean my office again.
I will be live streaming tomorrow. Sorry I missed last weekend.
Yay. You should be ashamed.
I am ashamed.
Shame.
Look how regretful he looks. He looks so remorsed.
Yep. I was out there drinking and being merry last weekend.
Not allowed.
Not this weekend. No.
This weekend you'll be miserable.
But yet he was still texting us.
I texted you like once, I think, didn't I?
No, it was a bunch.
Those are the ones you remember. All the weird stuff started happening at night.
You sent some very provocative pictures there, Bruce. You don't remember those? You did a little dance and everything.
By the way, guys, the bidding starts.
So when you say that you're being merry, it means something completely different.
Yeah, the bidding starts now for us to show you these pictures.
Yeah. That's what the super chat is for. Everybody super chat will say something.
And Trina has a good point. You could stream twice this weekend, Bruce, to make up for it.
I've got a social thing on Sunday.
How dare
More
you.
merry times.
Yes.
Can you confirm this, Bruce? She says, I just found out there are no squirrels in Australia.
That is correct. There are no squirrels in Australia.
Why not? You got spiders the size of squirrels.
Well, that's because the spiders ate all the squirrels.
We have brush-tailed possums and ring-tailed possums, but no, we do not have squirrels.
Interesting.
Spiders ate them all.
I'm surprised that nobody's thought of bringing some over there just to let them loose.
Yeah, I think there's the sort of laws against that.
I did that with toads a while back, and it didn't turn out so well. So.
The really the classic one they did out here was bring out the cane toad. They brought out the cane toad to try and kill insects for the sugar cane growing, and they brought the cane toad out here, and the cane toad never ate the insects, and now has become one of the most phenomenal pests out here. So there you go.
Complain about toads, but not giraffe-sized spiders. Gotcha. Right.
They leave you alone as long as you do a sacrifice every once in a while.
We just open our homes to them. They're all fine. We all live together in harmony. It's good.
Yeah. Burn it all down. That's what I say.
Harmony.
Yeah. But no shameless self-promotion for me.
Yeah. Mike, you got anything?
I don't know. Steve?
Yeah, sure.
So I guess Steve is going to come over here this weekend. If he brings a camera with him, maybe we'll stream something ridiculous.
Oh God!
Because my camera definitely isn't up to the task. Not with my crappy little 17p camera.
I don't think we'll go for 6 hours plus a 2-hour lunch break, but we'll do something silly, I'm sure.
No, we might.
Is that going to be Sunday?
Saturday.
So that's my Sunday.
Well, yeah, for you it's Sunday. For us normal people in the United States, it's still Saturday.
Hey, listen, I've been watching the news. There is nothing normal about you lot.
Yeah.
All right, let's not go there.
I got that Macintosh Classic that I recapped for Mike, so the Classic 2. So I think that needs to find his way to Mike. So
I told Mike, I said, you guys should kind of mosey down my way,
That's another 4 hours.
No, it's not.
Mike and then you.
No, it's about 3 hours for each of us, Steve.
Yeah.
I think.
We're like in
I
a
know
big
it's about 3
triangle.
hours for me.
It's all
Right,
about the right motivation. He'll drive
just-
4 hours to pick up a molar Mac in his scrap pile. He won't drive 2 hours to you to drop something
I
off.
know.
Entice me. Entice me.
And pay tolls along the way.
Yeah, why don't we just drop a pin in the middle? It'll be like a Bermuda Triangle there, and then just,
Yeah, that's true. I don't have to pay tolls to get down to Greg.
you got the stuff, I got the
It
Apple
would
II.
probably cost Steve
Yeah.
about $55 just to get out of the damn state of New Jersey.
Got that right.
I know it cost
Yep.
me $1 just to come back to Pennsylvania.
I got my bill in the mail from when I went up to get that molar Mac
Oh,
in.
Lord.
Yeah, that was fun.
And?
We'll discuss that offline.
What'd you say it was now to go over the Tappan Zee Bridge?
It's
$18?
What?
Oh my
Wow.
god.
I would pay all those tolls exactly once, and that's on my way out. Never come back to that.
Yeah, it's
Crazy.
yeah. I'll go on about that later. But yeah, fun times.
Yeah, cue rant.
But yeah, so Mike and I will have some fun this weekend doing whatever the heck we'll be doing. So you can expect some shenanigans.
All right. Anybody else?
You, GT.
I've
You've been
really,
planning a video.
I've been planning one. I still have to finish up the script, so it's going to be a while.
Oh, okay.
It'll be out though. And if you're into ham radio, you'll enjoy it. But if not, you might find it boring. But it is about Mac, so it does have Mac content in it.
Okay, I'll watch half of it.
All right. So, guys, we reached the end of the show tonight. We do have a Discord server, so if you have not joined our Discord, go ahead and join it. The link is right there on the screen, or somebody can actually paste it. That way you can...
I can do that. That's usually my job, right?
Yeah, actually, so you can, so all of our lazy viewers can actually just click it and go right straight to our
Ooh.
Discord. So,
Special guest next week.
yes, we are having a special guest
who's
next
that
week.
going to be?
Hmm.
Who is
We'll-
crazy enough to be our guest?
We'll wait and mention that before next week, so that way it's a surprise for everybody. But you guys will be pleasantly surprised who we're going to get on here next week, and hopefully you guys have a good week, and we'll see you guys again later on down the road.
Bye-bye.
Bye.